So, for our next speaker, we have Fabian. What's the title?
Why your worldview is stupid.
All right, Fabian. Please tell us why our worldview is stupid.
Can we switch that off? Yeah, that one, because it shines right in my face. Yeah, that's better, thank you. So, I think we'll just wait for the rest of the people to settle down, right? Your worldview is stupid. Can we all just agree that that's probably the nicest title you've ever heard for a speech, right? Really makes you want to get in there and listen to whatever that speaker has to say. If only just to say, no, you're stupid. Right?
No, you're stupid.
That's right. I mean, how do I get to say that, right? I hardly know any one of you. How could I know that your worldview is stupid? Well, for starters, I think mine is too. I just happen to like it more than yours. But what's more important is, every worldview is based on the same thing, observation. And that's where the trouble starts. Because you see, observation works, of course, through your senses. Your senses pick up 11 million bits of information every single second. Of those 11 million bits, more than half gets lost on the way to the brain. It never reaches you. So right off the bat, more than half the information that's available is not available to you. Then your mind starts doing all sorts of funny things with that perception, with what you see, hear, feel. First of all, it's going to get rid of even more information, because 5 million bits of information, who needs that? Right? You don't need to be aware that there's 37 chairs in this room, 13 cables, and 85 people. No, it's just your mind goes, people, chairs, cables, done. Right? Next, it will start to generalize. No, hang on. It will start to cluster information. Right? So you don't need to be aware that right up here is a horizontal thing propped up by 4 legs, made out of a celluloid plant byproduct and coated in petroleum lac. No, it's table. Done. Finally, your mind is going to start to generalize the information that you perceive. You don't need to know that there's a steel table over there, and there's a table with a steel leg, and a wooden surface, and a whole wooden table there. Your mind just goes, table, table, table. Got it, done, wonderful. That's generalization. Works pretty well with objects, not so much with people, it kind of gets a little troublesome, right? All of this is, by the way, pre-conscious, meaning, most likely, your conscious mind will never become aware of this ever happening. But there's one more trick your mind has up its sleeve. All of that information, once it's been filtered, clustered, and generalized, gets routed through what's called the amygdala. That's the emotional center of your brain. So your brain gets to decide how you feel about the things that you see before you actually consciously become aware of 30 bits of information. That's 0.000000003% of the actual information that's out there. But that's not where the fun ends. Because you see, psychologists actually agree that we don't create reality inside our own minds. We create reality when we take our little fantasy story that we happen to call reality, and we talk to other people about their fantasy story that they call reality, and we start synchronizing that. That is what we call reality. And the funny thing is, language is actually, it's a pretty bad tool for making people understand stuff. Studies show that about 60% of the time we talk to somebody else, they don't get the point. Right? And that's how we create reality. Now, anyone here want to tell me they really know what's going on? So, that's how we create reality. Reality actually has more to do with a fantasy story that we tell little kids at bedtime than objective, measurable data. And to me that only leaves one question. But reality is just a story you're telling yourself. And there's a part of that reality. We like to call it identity. And if that identity is actually a story, ask yourself, which part of that story would you like to keep for yourself? You know, the part of that story that makes you do things that maybe you were a little scared of at first, but somewhere in the back of your mind, there's a part of you that says, you know what, you've got this. Go ahead, try it. You can do it. And which part of that story is the story that keeps you home, right? On Friday evening, and tells you, you know, look, it's okay that you want this, but they don't really like you. You don't have what it takes. You're not good enough. You're not interesting enough. And really consider which part of that story would you like to keep. Which part of that story is about time you got rid of it. And then ask yourself, who's going to be the hero of that story? Thank you.
Challenge you on that.
Okay, please do.
I mean, there is the reason we come, the reason scientific evidence exists.
Yes.
Is because there is such a thing as objective truth or fact. I mean, when you
You
say
think so?
reality, I mean, yeah, just explain.
So
that.
where would you get that from?
I'll just finish my thought. And then you can comment. I mean, the idea that the stories we tell our children or each other is more real than objective data.
I didn't say more real. It's pretty much the same.
I mean, is reality as compared to? But if it's not, then it's fine. In which case, I don't know if the rest of the question makes sense, but it is possible that you're sitting at home on a Saturday night saying nobody likes me. That could be true. And it's possible I mean, one of the reasons we need external people is also to. It's possible that it's true that no one likes me. Not necessarily. You can give yourself the story that everyone likes me, and then change, but that doesn't change the
Can I
truth.
just say something about that?
What's your point on that?
There's a study exactly on that, where they took a school class and they gave them aptitude tests at the beginning of the year. They had a new teacher come in and they gave the teacher the aptitude test of the kids. And they said, okay, these kids are smart, these kids are not smart, these kids are in between, right? Then they let the school a year run, and at the end they checked, okay, the smart kids got the good grades, the dumb kids got the bad grades, and the other ones were in between. Here's the interesting part. The aptitude test was made up. They randomly assigned kids to be smart or not smart. And because the teacher expected them to be smart or not smart, that's how they started behaving. So especially in social situations, our own expectations shape how people will react towards us.
Then you buy yourself a dog.
I mean, I'm not sure your example addresses my concern. I can repeat it if you want, but I mean, in your case, there was another person who's involved in that story, right?
Yeah.
The teacher is in that case sort of the asshole because they're treating the children differently.
They expect the children to behave in a certain way.
Exactly, but in the example that you gave, where you're sitting at home, it's important for us to discover the truth about ourselves. Right? That's part of the thing we do as humans. And so if you're sitting at home telling yourself no one likes me, the answer is to that problem is not just to say everyone loves me, let's go out. Because it's possible that no one likes you because you're a psychopath. Right? So there is something more to it.
Yes, naturally there is something of an objective reality, and we do get in touch with it. It's just that whatever we think is real, maybe it's an approximation if you're lucky. More often than not, it isn't. Does that make sense?
I'll agree to disagree.
Yeah. All right. Yes, please.
I think, from what I understood, I think you're comparing two different aspects. For example, your generalization part, where you say, okay, that's a table and so on. The world is way too complex for our brains to function otherwise. And besides, if I come to you, like onto the other part, where you say, for example, you more or less, when you exchange information about reality, in particular about yourself, you basically let other people's view on you influence your view of yourself, right?
Yes, that's called
if
intersubjectivity.
Exactly,
in psychology.
but you wouldn't do it if I come to you and say, you know what, this is a rocket ship. I can fly to the moon. You won't buy that stuff if I say it.
Well,
right?
Actually, I'm a bad person to talk about that because
Because you won't
I would
believe
actually
me.
be interested in what you have to say about that rocket ship over there.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
you wouldn't buy my shit if I talk shit about something that's obviously not real. Well, at least maybe in my wicked mind it's real, you know?
Obviously, yes.
Exactly, so why would
Yeah.
you believe me if I say, I don't know, you're uncool, you're boring, or whatever? Yeah, you know, why would you listen to me?
Exactly.
Okay, so...
I mean, that's if I listen to you, basically what I'm listening to is your fantasy story of how you perceive me, which has been filtered through all that process I just described. Why would I have any reason to listen to you on that, right? I will listen to you if you have something nice to say about me, because first of all, that feels nice, and secondly, it has a chance to actually get me further. You know, maybe you inspire me to do something I wouldn't do otherwise. That's worth listening to, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It's weird because I thought I have a different point.
I mean, but at the same time, you know, if lots of people tell you, you know, you're stupid, you're weird, you're all this kind of thing, maybe consider what is it that all these people have in common. That's also a good idea, right?
Exactly, his point.
Yes.
Yeah, I would just like to add something to the commentary. Is like when because I have experience that if somebody tells you something negative, and when somebody tells me like that and touch me and really like made me feel that maybe I'm like that, is because I had that thing on me before. Like touch me on the point that I also believe that for myself and
Yes.
take that thing out. So it's the same. Like the objectivity goes away because it got filtered by the emotions and that thing like goes away because there could be a part from you that you don't want to listen, but somebody else reflecting to you and push it away.
Can you give me an example?
I would like not because it will say something mean about me.
It doesn't have to be an example about you, of course. It could be an example about a
like,
friend.
if somebody like it's like really shy, could say,
Okay,
like,
yeah.
and they told you why you are really shy, and these people like got like restricted about themselves because he also thinks that he's shy.
Exactly.
And pushes that even out of himself and
Exactly. That's basically your inner mind going, see, that's our fantasy story being told out there. See, that person agrees, right? It is that way. It isn't.
Yeah.
It's not true. I've seen people go from abysmal amounts of self-confidence to outgoing people who can just walk up to anyone on the street and strike up a nice conversation. And not in a big amount of time, you know. It's not like we're not talking 5 years, we're talking 1-2 weeks.
That's challenging. 1-2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But I mean that it's not possible. I don't think it's possible if you don't have it in you already. You're just telling yourself this story that I'm not like this because I wasn't liked in childhood.
Not in this
All right.
All right. Thank you.